It was supposed to be a routine flight. Passengers boarded, the cabin filled with chatter, and everything seemed ordinary. But hidden beneath the calm atmosphere was a storm about to erupt. Flight attendant, fueled by arrogance and prejudice, would single out the very man responsible for their safety in the skies. She thought her uniform gave her power, and in that moment, she decided to humiliate him publicly. What she didn't realize was that this ordinary black pilot wasn't just any pilot. He had one phone call that would flip her world upside down, Captain. Marcus Reed had spent decades in aviation. From his early days fixing planes as a mechanic to becoming one of the youngest commercial airline captains in the country, his journey was nothing short of remarkable. He was disciplined, respected, and admired by colleagues who knew his work ethic. But not everyone saw him that way. On this particular morning, Marcus was scheduled to command a cross-country flight from Los Angeles to New York. The sun had just risen, painting the tarmac in gold as he walked toward the aircraft. He carried himself with quiet confidence, dressed sharply in his crisp pilot uniform. Inside, passengers were settling in, luggage was being stowed, and the flight attendants were preparing for departure. Among them was Claire, a senior flight attendant known more for her sharp tongue than her professionalism. She had a reputation for being difficult, but often got away with it because she knew the system. When she saw Marcus step into the cockpit, her demeanor shifted. She whispered to a colleague with a smirk, questioning whether he was really the pilot. Her words were coated with disbelief, as though his presence in that uniform didn't quite fit her expectations. Marcus, unaware of the whispers, focused on his pre-flight checks, but Claire wasn't finished. To her, the idea of taking orders from a black pilot seemed unthinkable, and she decided she would make that clear before the day was over. What began as subtle skepticism was about to spiral into something far uglier. And for Marcus, this would not be the first time he faced discrimination. But it might be the last time anyone dared to underestimate him. The tension began before the doors even closed. Claire's behavior quickly shifted from passive-aggressive to outright disrespectful. She accidentally ignored Marcus's requests, delayed the cabin readiness report, and rolled her eyes when he asked for updates. To the untrained eye, they might have seemed like minor inconveniences, but to Marcus it was clear. She was challenging his authority in front of the crew at one point. Claire entered the cockpit with a stack of documents and deliberately placed them on the wrong panel, smirking, as if waiting for him to correct her. When Marcus calmly explained where they needed to go, she muttered under her breath, "If you even know what you're doing." The first officer glanced up, stunned by her words, but Marcus remained composed. Years of professionalism had taught him that reacting with anger would only fuel her prejudice. Instead, he logged the incident quietly, knowing he might need the record later. But Claire escalated further. During the boarding process, she loudly told a group of passengers that something felt off about this flight, hinting that the captain might not be as experienced as he should be. Some passengers grew visibly nervous. It wasn't just offensive, it was dangerous. His confidence in the pilot is critical to passenger safety, and Claire was undermining it. As the plane climbed into the skies, Claire's defiance only grew bolder. She delayed meal service, ignored Marcus's instructions, and at one point, stormed into the cockpit demanding to verify his credentials. She questioned whether he had even completed the necessary checks, implying that the aircraft hand, everyone on board was at risk because of him. It wasn't just disrespect anymore. It was humiliation, performed like a theater act for anyone who could overhear. She wanted Marcus to feel small, to feel unworthy of the stripes on his shoulders. But Marcus wasn't small. He certainly wasn't powerless. As Claire's accusations echoed in the cockpit, Marcus made a decision. Didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. Instead, he picked up the phone in the cockpit, a secure line that connected him directly to the airline's operational headquarters. One call. That was all it would take. The line connected almost instantly. On the other end was the airline's chief operating officer, a man Marcus knew personally. They had flown together years ago, and the crew respected Marcus not just as a skilled captain, but as one of the most dependable employees in the company. Marcus calmly relayed the situation. He explained how Claire had undermined him, spread doubt among passengers, and jeopardized the professionalism of the entire crew. He didn't exaggerate, and he didn't need to her. Actions spoke volumes. The crew listened carefully. Then, in a measured voice, he told Marcus exactly what to do: complete the flight safely, maintain his professionalism, and once they landed, he would take care of the rest. Marcus hung up the phone, his expression unchanged. But to Claire, it might have seemed as though nothing had happened. She smirked again, convinced she had won the battle. But she had no idea that her career was already hanging by a thread. Hours later, the aircraft touched down smoothly in New York. Passengers applauded the flawless landing, unaware of the storm brewing among the crew. As the doors opened, Marcus thanked everyone for flying with them, his voice steady and warm. Claire, still smug, expected to disembark and carry on as if nothing had happened. Instead, she stepped into the terminal. 2 airline executives and a senior HR officer were waiting for her. Passengers looked on in confusion as they pulled her aside. Within minutes, her badge was confiscated, her uniform stripped of authority. The humiliation she had tried to inflict on Marcus had ricocheted back at her tenfold. Claire's termination was swift and decisive. The airline had zero tolerance for racial discrimination, especially when it endangered passenger confidence and crew integrity. Within hours, she was escorted out of the airport, her career in aviation effectively over. Marcus, meanwhile, was commended for his professionalism. The crew personally called him again, this time to thank him for handling the situation with dignity. While others might have lost their temper, Marcus had demonstrated why he was trusted to command hundreds of lives in the skies, calm under pressure, unshakable and just. News of the incident spread quickly within the airline. For many employees, it served as a powerful reminder that prejudice, no matter how subtle or blatant, had no place in their profession. And for Marcus, it wasn't about revenge. It was about respect, something he had earned through years of hard work, not something he needed to demand. The irony was undeniable. Claire had tried to strip Marcus of his authority. Instead, her arrogance stripped her of her own career. As Marcus left the airport that evening, the city lights of New York glittered against the night sky. He reflected on the day's events. Knowing this wasn't just a personal victory, it was a victory for every professional who had ever been judged by the color of their skin rather than the content of their character. And perhaps the most powerful lesson of all was this: racism thrives in silence, but it crumbles the moment it is confronted with truth and integrity. So the next time you board a plane and see the captain's stripes, remember, this respect is not optional. It's earned, it's deserved, and it should never be questioned by prejudice.